Happy birthday to us. Let's talk about birthday guitars. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Guitar Gear Trader. I am Steve, coming at you from Nashville, Tennessee, as always. And today, I want to talk to you about birthday guitars. Now, I didn't know what a birthday guitar was until about maybe 5 years ago when I moved down to Nashville. Never heard that term before until I heard it on YouTube from another channel that I probably listened to. But what a birthday guitar is middle-aged men, like myself, maybe older, like to buy guitars from the year that they were born, or guitars that were built in the year that they were born. So if you wait around till the end, you're going to have a really cool story about this guitar, which happens to be my birthday guitar. So I am going to be turning 43 years old in 4 days. My birthday is August 19th, 1982, and I will be turning 43, and this guitar is also a 1982 Gibson SG. But there is something really, really special about this guitar, and you're going to have to wait till the end of the video to make sure that you hear what is so special about that. But I just want to talk to you about birthday guitars and how you, some tactics you can use to find out if a guitar was made during the year that you were born. So the thing that you have to do is you have to find the serial number on the guitar, and you have to know what those serial numbers mean, and they mean different things for different companies. So what I'd like to do is show you how you can decipher serial numbers and figure out if your guitar is from the year that you were born. So the best way to do this is to go to the websites of different manufacturers. Now, Gibson, Gretsch, I'm going to show you Gibson, I'm going to show you Gretsch, I'm going to show you Fender, and I'm going to show you Rickenbacker. Some of them have websites that are dedicated to the brand, from the brand. So this one, for instance, this is from Gibson.com. If you type into Google Gibson serial numbers, Gibson serial number codes, Gibson serial number systems, it will take you to Gibson.com. It'll bring you to this page that tells you how to identify authentic Gibson serial numbers. Now, through the years, Gibson serial numbers have changed, and this page breaks down all the different types of serial numbers that they've used from the beginning of their history of their company. And you'll see that it varies greatly. So, and I'm not going to go through every single line of this with you guys. I'm just going to kind of give you an overview, and then you can check these out. I'll put the links to these pages that I show you in the description so that you can check it out on your own. But if you have, just for instance, Gibson guitar that is prior to 1975, it's going to look a little different than this. Okay, this says 1975 to present, and it tells you the codes that it uses. So it says from Gibson USA, Gibson Acoustics, and Gibson Memphis guitars from the years 75 to 77. The number is typically found on a decal on the back of the headstock. Should be an 8-digit number that can be dated by the first and second digits as follows. If it starts with 99, it's from 75. 00, it's from 1976. 06 is from 1977. So let me show you an example of that. So what we have here, this is my 1977 Les Paul Special double cut, and you can see by the decal, that is a decal. If you look in the light properly, you can see the square of the decal. It starts with the numbers 06, just like the website says that a 1977 should start in. These were discontinued back in like the 60s, and they were brought back in the year 1977. So everything checks out with this guitar. That's why it's called limited edition. It's basically the first reissue of Les Paul specials and Les Paul Juniors from like the 50s and 60s originals ones. Today, a modern serial number is going to be an 8-digit number that's impressed into the back of the guitar that says Made in the USA below it. So let me show you an example of that. Okay, so here is my 2005 Gibson Firebird Studio. And you can see that it has the Made in USA stamp right there. And it also has an 8-digit serial number, 015-85409. Now, the way this works is that the first number and the fifth number are going to be your year of production. So 0, and then the fifth number is 5. Okay, that means it was made in 05, so 2005. And the 158 that's between the 0 and that 5 is the day of that year. So it's the 158th day of 2005. And you can easily figure out what day that was just by going to Google and asking Google, what was the 158th day of 2005? And it will tell you that it was Tuesday, June 7th. See if I can get that on the camera here for you. Tuesday, June 7th was the 158th day of 2005. So if you were born on June 7th, 2005, this guitar was made or stamped. It doesn't necessarily mean that the guitar itself was carved that day, but it was finished and stamped on June 7th, on that exact day. Okay, those last three numbers are the factory ranking plant designation number. So it's going to tell you where it was produced. So it says prior to 1984, when the Kalamazoo, Michigan factory was closed, the numbers 001 to 499 indicated Kalamazoo. Ranking numbers 500 to 999 continued to indicate Nashville. Production through 1989. And then it keeps telling you what those numbers mean for later on years and things like that. Okay, so those are some really easy ones to figure out. When you get to the mid-2000s, okay, in Gibson, 2014 to 2019, the numbering system changed a little bit. I don't know why and for what reason, but you can see here the year, instead of being the first and fifth number, the year became the first two numbers. So this is a really good example of a guitar that was produced between 2014 and 2019 and how we see the numbers changing. So we have 180010640. That's a 9-digit number instead of an 8-digit number. And the first two numbers there, the 18, that designates the year of production for this model. So this is a 2018 Gibson Explorer. And you can see how the numbers change. You still have the Made in USA stamp down here, but the numbering system changed for those 5 years. Not sure why, because it changed back to the old system after that. So don't think it's a fake. Don't think it's a counterfeit or a Gibson if it has a 9-digit serial number with the two numbers at the front being the production year. Custom shops are a bit different. Custom shops typically are going to be stamped like an R9 will be stamped with a 9, a space, and then a 4 or 5-digit number after it. Reissue from the a 1960 reissue will be a 0 followed by a space and then the numbers. Also, sometimes custom shops, especially newer ones, will have CS for custom shop and then a number to indicate them. And you can go onto this website. Like I said, I don't want to go into every single thing here, but you can go onto this website and check out all the different serial numbers for different guitars from different eras, early 70s, late 70s, 50s, 60s models. The hardest ones to really find out about for Gibsons are those late 60s to early 70s ones where there's really no distinction other than a number range. It's really hard for you to find a day or a year or a month that the guitars were made in, other than you just know that these numbers were made between 1969 and 1974, something like that. So you kind of, and then what you can do after that is you can look at the appointments of the guitar. Does the guitar have a trapeze tailpiece? Does it have block inlays? Does it have witch hat knobs? Those things will tell you kind of the year. Only in 1972 do you have Gibson stamped pickup covers. Let me show you that. Okay, you can see right here, this is a 1972 Gibson Firebird. This is one of the medallion models. That's what you see here, that kind of coin looking thing. But you see in the pickup here, Gibson is embossed into the metal of the pickup cover. This only happened in 1972. So if you ever see a guitar, Gibson guitar, and you kind of want to try to figure out what age it is, you can look at the pickup covers. And if they're the original pickup covers, that's another thing you got to deal with. If they are the original pickup covers to that guitar, only 1972 models have embossed pickup covers. This 335 is a 1971. It's not a 72. I know it can't be a 72 because it doesn't have the embossed pickup covers. And from what I understand, those are the originals. It does have a serial number stamped onto the back, and you can see it there, 112638. Now that doesn't really help me because it doesn't have a year of production in it. It's just a range of numbers that they started stamping at certain times. But we do know that it's after 1969, because in 1970 they started putting the Made in USA stamp on there. Okay, so prior to that, you didn't get Made in USA stamps. It just had a 5 or 6 digit number at the top. Let me show you an example of that. This is my 1967 Gibson 330, ES330. I know it's a 67 because we still have our 6 digit number, but it does not have a Made in USA stamp. Okay, those are just wear marks. That's not a Made in USA stamp. So this had to be prior to like 1969, 1970, and with that range of serial number, it fits into 1967. Same thing on this 1964 SG Junior. Okay, we still have our 6 digit serial number, but no Made in USA stamp. So you might be saying to yourself, well, how do you know that it's a 64 or 65? How do you know that that 330 was a 67 if you're just kind of guessing? You look at the pot codes. You take this plate off and you look at the codes on the pots, and that will give you a really good idea of the age range of your guitars. So that covers Gibson. Let's now check out Gretsch. Gretsch has their website, GretschGuitars.com support. And like I said, I'll give you all these links down in the description. They are another website that does an amazing job telling you how they went about stamping their guitars or using stickers for their guitars and numbering their guitars. You can see here along the right-hand side that it tells you between certain dates they use different numbers. Okay, which is very, very helpful. Again, it doesn't tell you in the early days, in the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, it doesn't tell you the day that they were made or produced, but it gives you a range for the year that it was produced. So you can still find your birthday guitar, but you just might not find the exact day. So here's a really good example of one of my guitars. Okay, so what we have here is a 60s 6119. It's stamped 71, and if I'm just looking here, it's 71080. So if we go to the website and we look for 7100s, right there, we know that this model or this actual guitar was stamped in 1964. So this is a 1964 Gretsch 6119 Tennessean. Now I also have another Gretsch from the 70s. And in the 70s, they changed up how they did their guitars. So we're going to look in here, in this section here, 73 to 81. So this is a picture of the sticker that was inside, that is inside my Gretsch White Falcon. They stopped stamping the tops of the headstocks and they went to these stickers in different years of production. So this particular sticker, it says 8.6014. And what that means is the 8 is the month that it was stamped in, and then the 6 is for 1976. The 014 is the 14th day of the year. So you can find out on this Gretsch, a 70s Gretsch, the day, the month, and the year, where in the early 60s models you couldn't find that. It just gave you a range. So this guitar was actually stamped on August 14th, 1976, which was yesterday. Okay, so this happy birthday to my White Falcon. It turned very old. I don't know how old that is. So it was another 6 years, so it turned 49. Okay, that guitar is 49 years old. So happy birthday to my White Falcon. You can see here in this picture, this is a modern day made in Japan model, and they actually put JT for the J stands for Japanese or Japan. I'm not sure what the T stands for, but then it has the first two numbers here are going to be the year of production. So this is a 2016 model. Okay, if we take a look at Fender, Fender's really interesting because they actually have a website where you can go and type a number in, but I got to be honest with you, it's a horrible website. So I like this one a little bit better. You could always go to the Fender one first, like the official Fender one, where you can type in the letters and numbers on the guitar that you actually have. But most of the time, it just comes up blank, or it comes up that it doesn't have any information for your guitar. This one, TrueVintageGuitar.com, gives you a big breakdown of how to check the serial numbers for Fenders old and new. It also has a section where you can just type in the letters and numbers on the back of the headstock or on the neck plate. But it tells you, 50s models, the serial number is going to be a 4-digit number on the bridge plate. Starting in 1954, they started putting the number on the tremolo plate cover. Yeah, that's the back cover on the tremolo mechanism on Strats. From 54 to 76, they started putting 4- and 5-digit numbers on the neck plate, and then they went to 5-digit numbers between 59 and 63. They added an L between 1963 and 65. They put a large F between 65 and 72, and another large F between 72 and 76. Those are all on the neck plates. For 76 through 2000s, the front of the headstock had prefixes on it for USA and Mexican-made guitars. The number 76 was used, I guess, in 1976. The S was a prefix in the 70s. An E was a prefix in the 80s, N for the 90s. And from the 90s to today, back of the headstock, N, Z, US, MN, MZ prefixes are used, depending on what model it is. They did make guitars in Japan, and in Japan it was on the back of the heel of the neck. I have one Strat that I can show you as an example, and I also have 2 Telecasters from the 70s that I'll show you. Okay, so this is my 1974 thin line Telecaster, and you can see that there is a large F on the neck plate with a 6-digit number stamped into the neck plate there. I confirmed that this was a 64 by looking at the pot codes. I did took off the pick guard, looked at the pots, and they dated it to 1964. This is a 70s Telecaster Custom, and you know it's a 70s because it starts with the prefix S on the headstock, and the pot codes also came back. I think this was a 77 or a 78, one of the two. I forget which one it was. I have it documented somewhere, but those are the S codes that you see for a 70s. And here we have a US made modern Stratocaster. You can see the US, and it says 24 as the first 2 numbers. I'm not sure if that was purposely or if that was complete by accident, but this is a 2024 model, and it is a 70th anniversary Strat, but is made in the US. So with all that information, what's the really cool story that I want to tell you about this 1982 Gibson SG Standard? So I was on a mission to find a guitar that was stamped on the exact day that I was born. So for many years, I would do daily searches on Reverb and on eBay and on Craigslist for Gibsons that were made in 1982. So the first thing I had to do was I had to find out what the serial number would be for a guitar that was stamped on my birthday. So the first thing I did was I went on Google and I said, what number day of the year was August 19th? Because that is my birthday. And it tells me was that August 19th, 1982 was the 231st day of the year. So I knew, based on the Gibson serial code system, that I needed a guitar, and I'm just going to type it into the Google search bar so you can see it here. I needed a guitar that started with the number 8, because that's designates the decade of the 80s. I needed the next 3 numbers to be 231, which is the day of the year, and then 2, because that would mean 82, right? The first number and the 5th number have to be the year, 1982, and the 3 numbers in between are the day of that year. I don't care what the next 3 numbers are. Okay, the next 3 numbers tell me what factory it was made in. Okay, that is not important to me. What's important to me is the date and the year. I needed a guitar with the numbers 8, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I went to Reverb every day, almost every day. I want to say every day, but I went to Reverb a lot. And really, to be honest, Gibsons were the models that were easiest to find exact days for in the 80s. Okay, Fender guitars, you really have to take the necks off to see, because at the bottom base of the neck there's a stamp sometimes, not all the time. It's very inconsistent. But if you wanted to know like exact days, sometimes you can find out by taking the neck off, and in the neck cavity or on the neck itself, it'll be stamped May 5th, 1982. Sometimes it won't be. So it's very inconsistent that way. Gibsons, especially in the 80s and the 70s, late 70s, they were stamped this way so that you can tell the exact day of the year. So I would go onto Reverb and I would type in 1982 Gibson. And I would get, let's see how many results, 259 results. And I would sit here and I would click on every one of these that had 1982 in the description, and I would look at the serial numbers. And I did this for 3 years. So let's just do it now. So now not every guitar works, because if it was a custom shop guitar, the custom shop numbering system was different and didn't necessarily give you a specific day of the year. But it would give you the year itself, but not the day of the year. I wanted the exact day. I would not stop until I found a guitar that was on the exact day. So let's check this one out. And also not everyone posts pictures of the serial numbers. Some people don't take pictures of the back of the headstock. Some people cross out the numbers on the back of the headstock on the picture so that you can't see it for whatever reason. I don't know why people do that. I think that's so stupid. I don't know how that's going to help counterfeiters at all. They can just make up numbers. But anyway, and also sometimes the pictures are just bad and you can't see the numbers. Sometimes the stamp is very light. Sometimes it was a refin and you can't see it. Okay, this one looks like you can see it pretty well. Let's see if they have an up-close shot of the back of the neck. They don't, see? So you have to use this one and zoom in. And this says 80362. So this was the 36th day of 1982. So you're looking the beginning of February. So if you were born in the beginning of February 1982, that could be your guitar. Also, they have pictures of the pots. Okay, you can tell the date of the pots. These pots were made in 1981. So you see 137, that's like the manufacturer code, and then the two numbers after that are the year this was made, which is 1981. So these pots are from 1981. The guitar itself is from very early 82, right? February 82. And then the next couple of numbers here, that's going to be the week that these pots were made in 81. So these were like the 35th week, okay, which is kind of like the middle of the year, I guess, maybe a little more than middle of the year. Okay, they might have had pots left over or whatever, So it's pretty close. So that guitar wouldn't be good. What about this one? Les Paul Standard. Let's see what the back... See, now this one you can't really see the back of the headstock too well. You can't really see it all too well. Sometimes I definitely see a 4 here. There's an 8 there, and there's a 2 there. I can't see, out of the 3 numbers in the middle between that 8 and the 2, that's definitely a 4. And I know that I don't want a 4. I want a 2, 3, 1. So that wouldn't be for me. Sometimes, if you have a good seller, sometimes they'll tell you in the description what the serial number is. This particular one does not, which is fine. They don't all do that. Okay. This 82 limited edition standard might not have, because it's a limited edition, might not have the same serial number code scheme. It does. Okay, this one does actually. Okay, so that's lucky. This is the 113th day of 1982. No good. Don't want that. But you get what I'm saying here. Okay, here's a ES335. Okay, if we take a look at the back of the head, here we have a sticker. Okay, this is the 62nd day of 1982. Not good. Now, I was getting real scared because like 80, at the time I was looking at these 1982 guitars were a lot of money, right? $3,800 is kind of reasonable for a vintage guitar, but most of these guitars at the time, this is when COVID was kind of crazy, these guitars were going for $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a piece. Okay, here's a Les Paul Custom, 1982 Les Paul Custom. They want $10,000 for this. And my fear was that the guitar that I found was going to be something crazy like this. Okay, let's see what day of the year this was. This was the 16th day of 1982. So that's January 16th. Yeah, January 16th, 1982. If you were born January 16th, 1982, that's your birthday guitar. But so I did this for 3 straight years. And for 3 straight years, I got 0 results. Until one day, I was sitting on the couch and I realized, wow, I haven't looked in a couple of days. I was getting lazy about it. And I was like, let me go on and check. I typed in 1982 Gibson. And I almost lost it because I found my birthday guitar. So let me show you. So here it is. I almost crapped myself when I was flipping through and I saw this particular Gibson. There's the 8, there's the 2, there's the 3, 8, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then 5, 3, 7. Like I said, 5 through 7 I don't care about. But this guitar was stamped on the day I was born. And it happened to be an extremely reasonable price at the time. These early 80s SG standards were not very sought after because they have a whole bunch of things that are slightly different than like vintage like 60s ones and modern ones. So first thing you see that it's kind of ugly. To be honest, this is the ugliest SG I have. It's the light here is making this look a lot more red than it actually is. This guitar looks almost like burgundy. Like it's not like cherry red like an SG that you would see in today's Gibson shops. The headstock is a little bit bigger. It's wider. That's just the headstock shape in that era of Gibson. So the headstock looks wrong. Like when I look at headstocks of Gibsons from the 60s and 70s and modern ones, they're not this wide. So that's definitely a giveaway that this is an 82. Also, block inlays on a SG. You don't see block inlays on SGs a lot. You see the trapezoid inlays, especially on the 60s ones and on the reissue ones that they have today, the standard and the 61 reissue. You have the trapezoid inlays. You also have speed knobs that came standard on the SG in this time period. And if you notice, the input jack is underneath, where normally it's top mounted. Okay, it would be back here somewhere, and your switch would be over here. Okay, so your switch would be over here, and your input jack would be right there. It also has the posi lock straps, strap locks on it, which are pretty cool. And these have tar back pickups. Okay, these are not Tim Shaw's, these are tar backs. So if you take them out and you flip them over, they were basically potted with black tar on the back, like a black rubbery tar on the back. Now this guitar is beat up. It is ugly. Okay, it's missing a lot of the clear coat. It's coming off. But I have to, and it came with a really cool chainsaw case. And I got this for a really good price. I got this for like $1,800. The guy wanted like 22, I think he was asking. I offered him $1,850 and he took it. And I could not, I would have paid the 22. I just wanted to see if he would take a lesser price, because it was, when am I ever going to find a guitar with the exact day of my birth? This guitar on Tuesday with me turns 43 years old. And I was very, very lucky. And I got to say, this thing with these pickups is one of the heaviest guitars as far as gain goes that I have in this entire collection. I have a 61 reissue or 64 reissue Murphy Lab that is beautiful. Beautiful pickups, beautiful looking guitar. This thing destroys it when you're trying to play heavier distorted music. This thing is right up there with my R9. I just don't play it because it's kind of ugly looking. It's not as, and call me vain or call me whatever you want, but it just doesn't look as good as that R9 or as that 64 reissue, or even my SG Junior up there, that 64 Junior, which I absolutely love. But I should take this out more. I should play it more because it absolutely rips. It is not for the faint of heart, though. This is made to play metal. This is made to play heavy, distorted music. And I'm very, very lucky that I was able to get a guitar that was born on my birthday. That's the kind of luck I have, though. You might notice, if you've been watching this channel, a lot of people might think I'm lying about this stuff. I'm not. Okay, all these stories that I tell are absolutely true. That's why I wanted to create this channel, was to share these stories with you. And I have this kind of stupid luck, right? One of my really good friends, Mike, he calls me Peter Pan because I live in Neverland, because I just have such good luck with things in my life, and this is just one example of those things. So thank you for staying with me and watching this video, and do me a favor, hit like and subscribe, share this with your friends, follow me on Instagram at Guitar Gear Trader, and if you have a birthday guitar story, or if you have a birthday guitar at all, let me know. If you want any advice on how to buy or search for a birthday guitar, please let me know. If any of these guitars were made on your birthday that we looked up or that I showed you on the show, drop me a line. Maybe I'll sell it to you, maybe not. But thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Peace out. Happy birthday to me. See you guys.